Yeah. Hello, Rida. I think we are live.
Yeah, we
One
are.
minute.
Looks like it.
Just let me check. So we have 0 viewers right now. जैसे ही कुछ आते हैं तो फिर हम स्टार्ट करते हैं अपना सेशन.
Sure.
There are 3 viewers right now with us, so I guess we should start our session. Oh, 10. Hello and assalamu alaikum everyone. On behalf of the Scholarship Corner page, we have organized this awareness session on Fulbright Master's Degree Program, in which we have our wonderful guest with us, a Fulbright alumna, Miss Rida Fatima. Before we start our program of our session officially, I would like to tell you that this session would be of 30 to 40 minutes. And आप जो हमारे viewers हमारे साथ हैं अभी और हमें देख रहे हैं, please let us know that from which cities you are watching us. Okay, so let's start our session officially. Let me introduce myself first. By the way, I would be moderating this session. My name is Hima Zafar, and I am an engineering graduate. By the way, I'm a global UGrad alumna. It is one of the US government exchange program. I went to United States in 2015. Since then, I have been working as a career counselor and spreading awareness about different US funded scholarships to most of the students voluntarily. Now, let me introduce to our guest speaker, Miss Rida. Rida have completed her Fulbright master's degree from New York University, and she was in cohort of 2017 to 2019. She is also a global UGrad alumna in 2014. Currently, Rida is pursuing her career in design and branding consultation. She is a mother of a toddler and a loving wife who enjoys reading, writing, and painting in her spare time. She is also currently selling her own handmade paintings to help COVID-19 affectees in Pakistan. Thank you so much, Rida, for joining us. And I would like to appreciate all the work you are doing for the affectees due to COVID-19. Over to you, Rida. Say hello to our
Thank you.
viewers, by the way.
Hello, everyone, and thank you so much for having me over, and thank you for such a nice introduction. How are you
Okay,
doing today?
so,
How many viewers do we have?
oh, Oh, we would also like to hear from our viewers that how you guys are
Yes,
doing
yes.
today. Give us some shout outs. Okay, so let's move to our first question, which is what is Fulbright Master's Degree Program and why one should apply for it? Over to you, Rida.
Okay, that's an interesting question. Fulbright Master's Degree Program is all about 2 years or 1 year, depending on what program you're enrolled in. It's a master's degree on a fully funded scholarship program funded by the State Department. Um, and I would like to also add that it's not just an academic program, unlike what many people assume it to be. It's also basically a leadership program as well for people who are going on Fulbright.
Okay, so
Yeah.
who actually funds this program?
It's funded by the State Department, US State Department.
And why anybody is giving so much money? Like, why they even care for us? Like, why?
This is a very important question, and I think when you're writing your statement of purpose, you should always have this question in mind. And this is a tip that I'm giving away from my own personal experience. When I was filling my statement of purpose, I was constantly thinking, okay, why should they select me? Why should they invest so much money on me? And if you can answer that question, I think you have a higher chance of being selected if you've answered it well. So yeah, I think Fulbright Scholarship, like I said earlier, is not just an academic program, even though it is an academic program as well, but it's also a leadership program. They're investing money in people they think can become agents of change for Pakistan and US and maybe for the whole world in near future. So they're basically investing money so that you can bring about some positive change in your society through education.
Okay, what makes you a good Fulbrighter? Like how they actually review or judge your applications?
Okay, one of the best things about this program is that they don't just look at your academic profile or just look at your GRE score or just look at work experience you've had. Um, they have a very holistic approach where they look at you um, as a person who has a certain experience, who has some potential, some leadership skills. So they don't just look at one thing, but they look at your educational background. They look at you as a person, who you are, what you want to do, whether you have the abilities to do it, and whether they should help you, they should invest in you and help you deliver your goals, and whether those goals matter or not. They look at your statement of purpose, your study objectives, and how you have planned out to achieve them. So it's like I said earlier, they have a very holistic approach, and this is one of the best things about them. They're not judging you based on just your CGPA. If you, I had somebody messaged me, I think day before yesterday, and they were saying we have a very good. It was somebody from Kashmir, and she had a really good GRE score, she said, but she didn't have a good CGPA, and she was really worried. She was like, "Should I even apply?" And I encouraged her to apply, and I just said to her that this is a misconception that a lot of people have in their mind. They think that you can only get Fulbright if you have a very high GPA, or if you are just an A grade student. While that can help you have a higher chance of gaining Fulbright scholarship opportunity, but it's not the requirement, and I think we need to clarify this misconception as much as we can.
ओके सॉरी टू इंटरप्ट यू रिदा बट इस सेशन के दौरान हमारे पास जो भी जितने भी हमें व्यूअर्स देख रहे हैं अभी अगर उनके पास कोई भी क्यूरीज हैं रिलेटेड टू मास्टर्स डिग्री ओनली बिकॉज वी आर नॉट डूइंग आवर सेशन ऑन पीएचडी तो जितने भी
Yeah.
लोग हैं देख रहे हैं सो दे कैन जस्ट पुट योर क्वेश्चंस डाउन एंड वी हैव ऑल द क्वेश्चंस live with us and we will be taking one by one all those questions so Rida it's okay with you that you continue or we should take the questions in between.
Yeah, we can take questions in between. I would love to answer as many questions as I can in this half an hour time that we have.
Okay, so one girl, Huma Shafiq, says, would you like to tell me the difference between an academic scholarship and a leadership scholarship?
Yeah, okay, so answering your question, academic scholarship, strictly speaking, would be something which is primarily based on fulfilling academic goals, whereas leadership scholarship, strictly speaking, would be something which is focusing on just the leadership goals, right? But Fulbright, like I said earlier, is an academic program, but also instills or strengthens your leadership skills because you're a cultural ambassador in US and you're representing your country responsibly. And once you're back in Pakistan, hopefully you're helping bridge gaps between these two cultures. So in that sense, it's also a leadership program as well. And I hope that answered your question.
Yeah, we have another question, a very interesting one. Does high CGPA or GPA actually matters? Like, yeah, is a
Okay,
requirement. It's not a
so
requirement.
yeah, so I saw that it's Sarah who's asking this question. So answering your question, I did not say that you have to have a bad GPA, but what I was saying was that they look at the whole profile. They look at you as a person, they look at your statement of purpose, they look at your long-term goals and your short-term goals, they look at your GRE score, your CGPA. By that, and I would love to clarify it as many times as I would have to, they don't look at just one thing. So you don't have to worry if you don't have a very high CGPA, if you don't have a 4.0 CGPA, you don't have to worry because there's so many other things in your profile as well, and they're definitely going to look into that as well. However, let's say there are two people in front of them and they have to pick one out of them. And let's say you have a higher GRE score, you have a better statement of purpose, you have a very clear mindset about your short-term goals and long-term goals and what you will be doing once you're back in Pakistan, why you think you deserve the scholarship, etc., etc. And the only thing that you lag behind in is maybe your CGPA compared to, let's say, the other student who has a very good CGPA, but that's the only thing he or she has. He or she is just a nerd who has a 4.0 CGPA and has never done anything else in his life, doesn't have a very clear statement of purpose. Then obviously in that scenario, they'll prefer you over the other person. However, I'm not by any means saying I have a good CGPA myself as well. So I'm not saying that not excelling in academics is the way to go. All I'm trying to say is that I get a lot of questions from a lot of people, and they have this misconception that Fulbright is just about 4.0 CGPA. No, it's about a lot of things, including a good GPA. It's also about leadership skills. It's also about being able to communicate ideas in a logical way. It's also about having a very solid statement of purpose. It's also about who you are as a person. Even that.
Yeah, a very like Rida, you have answered my question. I was about to ask you about this GPA. Okay, so before we take the questions, we will be taking questions in the last. I guess for right now, we should take a pause little bit. Somebody is advising that we should slow down.
Okay.
Okay, we will be slowing down for you guys. Acha, so we have our viewers from Egypt also. Say hello to all the international viewers watching us.
Hello,
Okay, so
everyone.
hello
Good
from
to
my
have
side
you
as
here.
well.
Yeah.
So the next question is, can I change my field? Like I did my engineering and now I am interested in social sciences. While applying for
Mhm.
Fulbright Masters, can we change our field?
Yes, you can. And I can say that very confidently because I've done it. So basically, give you a little bit background, a little bit of information about my educational background. Uh, Up until my A levels, I was into pure sciences. I did my undergrad in psychology, BSc honors psychology, but I didn't want to do masters in clinical or counseling because I that's not the field that I wanted to pursue. And I did a master's in consumer and social psychology. And consumer psychology is very different from what I did at undergrad level, which was pure psychology. So yeah, you can. And interesting. I don't know if this would add to answering your question better or not, but when I actually went to NYU, before going to NYU, I had a very clear plan in my mind, and it was about doing some research project on role conflict in Pakistani and American women, so a cross-cultural research study. But when I actually, and that was a very solid plan itself as well. However, when I went there, I figured out that there were better, more practical subjects that I could study and apply once I'm here back home. So I actually kind of shifted my I wouldn't say field of study, but kind of my goals kind of changed once I was actually there. So I actually started psychology of branding, consumer psychology, even engineering courses. I took up a lot of engineering courses as well. Um, so yeah, in short, yes, you can.
Okay, so Rida, tell me one thing. Are there any special fields the Fulbright is offering? Like, are there any special? I heard that there are some 5 fields in which they give you preference. Like, can you just tell us roughly?
Yeah, I was into, I'm from 2017 to 2019 batch, and at that time as well, there were certain fields that they wouldn't list. Fields like engineering, agriculture, social sciences,
Energy,
energy.
water.
Other than the typical pure medicine, there's pretty much everything covered. So you don't really have to worry.
So a student with a medical background can apply in Fulbright?
They can, however, it's not like they'll be a resident doctor in US. They won't be that, but they can
Mhm.
go for some if they're interested. They need to be very clear about what they want to do and why they want to do it. So if they're my own sister is a doctor in Pakistan, and somebody asked her, "Would you be applying for Fulbright?" She said, "No, I'm a doctor. I'm a practicing doctor. Fulbright is not for me, even though it's an amazing program." So I
Yeah.
like the way she answered her question because she was very clear. So if you're a doctor, you should be clear there will not be any resident medicine program for
Yeah, so
you
I
on
would
Fulbright.
like to include
Yes.
one thing in this. So the students with a medical background have done their bachelor's and now want to pursue masters. They cannot go into that field. Clinical field is not allowed. Although you
Yes.
can go in management side, like clinical,
Yeah,
whatever,
even
there's
health
a
sciences,
management.
they can do something. They can do maybe a master's in health science or maybe pathology, ophthalmology, etc. But that will
Mhm.
not be, like I said earlier, pure medicine, clinical work. It will be you doing masters in maybe health science or something.
So we have
Yes, you
another
can. There's a
question.
question from Ali. Yeah, yeah. So answering Ali
Ali,
Avan's
he's
question.
asking.
Hello, Ali. I just saw your question, and yes, anybody can get a scholarship in economics as well because they do have a quota for social science students as well.
Yeah, so Fulbright actually gives the scholarship in almost every field except the clinical medicine. You cannot practice there as a doctor. You have to take another field. You have to change your field, right? Okay, so if a student have done his MBA, like he wants to do his MBA, can he directly apply in MBA program in masters?
Yeah, yes, you can. You can apply for that as well. I have heard that not a lot of MBAs get scholarship, but then I also know people who have done masters in business related fields, so they can always give it a go. I think
Yeah,
what
so
matters is
for
clarity.
Mhm.
What are their
Yeah, go
goals?
ahead.
What program are they? Yeah, which university, which program? What's their study objective? And what are their goals? Why do they want to do it? And what do they want to do what do they want to do with their degree once they're back? I think those things matter.
Yeah. So the students having a background of business cannot directly go into the masters in Fulbright. They have to first do their 2 years. They have to take their 2 year profession. Like they have to go and get a
Yeah, 2 years
profession
of work
experience first,
experience.
2 years,
Yeah,
and then they can apply for MBA only. And
yeah.
okay, so I guess these were the typical questions, and I guess we have almost okay. One most important question: what is the placement procedure for Fulbright? Who actually places? Like in my application, like I have to select the universities from now because the applications are open,
Okay,
or
that. Mhm.
they do it themselves. How it works actually?
Okay, at the end of the day, the decision is theirs, not yours. However, when you're at the time of application, they do give you an option to prioritize, enlist your universities of preference. They ask you to enlist your preferences, and they do take that into consideration. But at the end of the day, the decision will be theirs, not yours.
Okay, so Rida, how much actually the master's degree cost in United States? Like, can you like tell roughly if I want to go on my own or if I want to go to scholarship? I guess we would be answering this question as well. Hello, how why do you get this scholarship? So, can you like tell us?
Yes, so a rough estimate would be Pakistani 2 crore rupees.
Okay,
That's
that's
what
too
it's worth.
much.
But some programs might be even more than that. It depends on what university, what program, how long is the program, etc. But a rough estimate would be Pakistani 2 crore rupees.
Oh, that's too much. So it's better to go on Fulbright. Okay, so with this, I want to include one more
Definitely.
thing. So in Fulbright program, there are like previous years, the application which was received by USEFT were 2,000 applications. Out of that, only 90 were selected and they went on the master's degree program. Although there are 45 slots for PhD, out of which 25 are offered by Fulbright and 25 are offered by HAC, Park US Knowledge Corridor HAC program. So
Mhm.
the HAC actually gives you all these stipend. It's another way to apply in United States. So there are two ways. Either you apply for Fulbright, either you apply through Park US Knowledge Corridor, which is run by HAC.
Mhm.
Okay, this was from the now if somebody have the questions related to GRE and there are some questions coming up for personal statement. I guess we will be discussing after this question. Okay,
Mhm.
so GRE scores. Rida, please tell us how actually you prepared for your GRE and please give us some tips. And what is the minimum score? Yeah.
All right. So I think my GRE score was 305 or something. I don't remember now. But tips would be practice. Um, and I wish I had more time and I would have practiced more. But uh, I mean, it's like I said earlier, they don't just look at your GRE score or just your CGPA. They look at the whole profile. They look at a lot of things. So long as you have a decent enough score, you should be fine.
What is
Um,
the decent score actually? What do
it
you mean
depends
by decent score for engineering student and for the students with the sciences, with the literature, these kind of subjects?
I had a 4.5 in the analytical section, and my overall score was I think 305, and I made it to Columbia University and NYU. Columbia is an Ivy League, and NYU is one of the best universities in the world. So I didn't worry too much about, oh, it could have been even better. I was just confident in my personal statement. I knew that it's the whole package to look at. And I was a very motivated and ambitious person, and I think those things helped. As for GRE, I've seen some people prepare for it like for 3 years, 4 years, even during the undergrad, and they're so
Okay.
nervous and so conscious about it that they actually end up getting a not so decent score. I would rather suggest that practice, practice, and practice, but don't worry too much about one particular thing because it's a lot of factors that to look into, not just one thing. Also, 305 was good enough for me to get into an Ivy League and also get into NYU. So I think it depends what university you want to go to, what program you're applying for, what are the requirements of the university, and then again, what program is it? I was into consumer psychology, and in consumer psychology, you should one of the things that NYU looks into is a good analytical score. You have to be very good at communicating ideas. You have to have a very good analytical score. You need to have a decent score in the English and maths section as well. But even NYU or Columbia University, they don't look at just the GRE score. Even they are looking at so many other things as well. When I gave my GRE exam, I was also working, I think, on two projects. I was also a student, and I was doing like a gazillion things at the same time. And along with that, I gave my GRE exam in, I think, 5 days preparation or something. And keeping that in mind, it was not at all a bad score. But I could have done even better. And I think you can do much better than I did if you practice and if you have just give yourself enough time to practice more.
So I would like to conclude this question that with a good practice depends on it varies from person to person. If you are a person like Rida or someone like you have been into it for a long time, or you just want to take in 5 days, you can prepare yourself. Or sometimes student take even
Yeah,
1 year, 3 years.
definitely. I literally prepared it in just 5 days because I was busy from morning till evening. I was working. I was also an undergrad student, and I was working as a junior psychologist at an organization. I was also working as the leader, voluntarily working as the leader of community service with Pon Lahore. So I was doing a lot of things at the same time, and I was into debates and dramatics and writing competitions and whatnot. Along with that, I gave my GRE exam in literally just 5 days. But this is not what I would recommend to others. I would say take time out of your busy schedule and maybe take an hour every day for 3 months. Prepare for 3 months maybe. But if you think you don't like maths much or you don't like English. Mm, um, you don't like the analytical part much, let's say, then maybe you need more practice. So it's about, are you comfortable with those subjects? If not, then practice, and then you should be good. It's not scary. A lot of people are scared of GRE. I think it's challenging in a good way. It's not at all scary. It just needs practice. It just has certain tricks that you automatically learn if you've practiced enough.
So you
So
did
even if
all
it's
by
not
yourself.
yeah,
Sorry,
I
continue.
didn't have time to go to academies or take help. I didn't have time to get help, but I did have one good source for preparation. My husband sent me some online sources, and he told me that they're good enough, and I just whizzed through them. That helped. So yeah.
Okay. So one more tip for our students who are applying for GRE will be in the Fulbright as well. So if you have an engineering background, mathematics, physics, so your quantitative part should be good. Like you should have score 170. Or you could check the universities you are planning to go in. You have to go to their requirements and just check. Like if my score is 130 and I want to go to Harvard to continue with engineering, especially in my quantitative part, I have 130 score and I want to go to Harvard. So this is not possible because Harvard score is like 170. They need good scores. You should have like 90% of it, 90% of the percentile or 100%. So please, this is one tip that you should check the universities and their criteria before applying to Fulbright and just check how much score they want. And according to that score, you should apply for you should take your this GR exam, and that's all from my side. Okay, one more question. I
And
can
also,
There's a
very
question.
importantly, don't get too nervous about it. A lot of so I get a lot of questions from a lot of people, and most of them are very, very nervous about GRE. And I would just tell them that please don't be scared. It's not at all scary. It's just a matter of practice. If you even if you don't like maths, even if you don't like English, if you've practiced enough, and if you're even a little bit smart, you'll be able to figure out the tricks that are there, and you can ace the GRE exam if you have practiced enough. Don't get too conscious about it, but also don't get too
Okay.
lazy.
So there's a question. Apart from this, I cannot afford GRE. Can USEFT help me in that?
I think they don't pay for your GRE. No, you have to give your
No.
GRE, as far as I know.
Yeah, they don't give for the cost, but if you are a
Yeah.
student or a teacher in a public university, अगर आप किसी भी government या public university से ताल्लुक रखते हैं, and you are, for example, let's suppose you are a final degree student, like you are in your 4th years of bachelor's, you can go to, and you are in a public university, so you can go to your ORIC department and you can ask, because every year when Fulbright is announced, which is announced in February, they go to different public universities, even private universities, and they offer 30 vouchers. Actually, they actually, Rida, this one is for you as well. They actually give 30 vouchers. The student, if scored well, they actually waive off your score. If you get good score in the mock test, first they come to your university, they take your mock test. If let's suppose you are from engineering background and you got 300 in engineering or science subject, they would offer you a reimbursement for your GRE. And if you are from humanities or social sciences subject again, and your overall score is 290, let's suppose, so your GRE cost would be waived off. Like आपको बिल्कुल फ्री में देना होगा, लेकिन उससे पहले वो मॉक टेस्ट लेते हैं आपकी यूनिवर्सिटी में। तो इसकी मालूमात अपनी ओरिक डिपार्टमेंट, हर यूनिवर्सिटी का एक ओरिक डिपार्टमेंट होता है, रिसर्च एंड इनोवेशन, डिपार्टमेंट ऑफ रिसर्च। आप उधर जाएं, उधर पूछिए इसके बारे में, you would definitely they would let you know. And other than that, we have USFT testing centers which are based in Islamabad, Lahore and Karachi. अगर आप वहां जाके भी अपना mock test देते हैं, they conduct mock test for GRE, and if you get good enough score, they actually waive off your GRE cost, and that they have only limited seats, only the first 30 students who got good scores, like 300 from the engineering background and 290 from humanities and social sciences subject, their GRE cost would be waived off. So this is good news for those who are applying in this year. Okay, so Rida, एक बहुत important question है. Students from backward areas are given more preference over elite students having an elite background in Fulbright.
This is such an important question because a lot of people, you know what, actually, I think maybe I was telling you offline as well that I got a call from somebody, she's from Kashmir, and she actually thought that people from, her question was that the university that she did her undergrad in was not one of the reputable universities, and she's from a background area, and she had this misconception that because she is from an underprivileged background, she will not be able to get Fulbright. and I helped clarify some of her misconceptions. So yeah, there are all types of misconceptions out there, and I don't agree with them. I think what they look at you as a person, your potential. They see if they should invest in you and why you. So those are the lines they're thinking on. If you have if you're coming um, from some university which is not very reputable, but you as a person, you have amazing leadership skills, you're very, um, uh, you deserve that investment from Fulbright, then they'll invest in you. However, that doesn't mean that if you have studied from some reputable university, or if you've been privileged enough, then they're just not going to give you Fulbright. No, it depends.
It depends. Okay. So this Fulbright scholarship is fully merit based. There is no.
Yes, it's merit based, and that's why. So actually, come to think of it, if you were to give a scholarship to three people, right,
Okay.
and all of those people were, would you give scholarship to somebody who could have gone on their own as well, or would you rather give the same amount to some of those people who are very talented and intellectual, but it would be difficult for them to pursue an amazing opportunity on their own? So that, I think, kind of answers the question. So it
Oh
depends.
yes. So
Yeah.
it depends on your application. So in application, what things actually matter? Like what things I should work on? क्योंकि GPA हमारा जो आ गया, अगर किसी का 3 है या उससे थोड़ा कम है, वो तो आपके जो scores हैं यूनिवर्सिटी के वो तो हो गए. They are finalized. You can't do anything right now.
Yeah.
Their applications are open. Only things we can work on are GRE scores and our personal statements. So या सो आप अपनी मेहनत करें जीआरई पे ज्यादा और अपनी पर्सनल स्टेटमेंट्स पे. So we have a question for personal statement. Rida, somebody is asking, please give us tips for a good personal statement. What is a good personal statement? Please ये concept तो आप clear कर दें.
अच्छा, एक तो ये कि when you go to their website, they have FAQs on Fulbright's website, USCFP Pakistan's website. Do look at those questions, ठीक है? और even personal statement के लिए भी when I applied तब तो ऐसा था कि they have certain questions. So make sure your personal statement answers those questions to begin with. Secondly, you should be very, very clear about your study goals, your short-term goals, and your long-term goals. How you will achieve them, why Fulbright is important, why should you be given Fulbright. So I guess in a brief report, these are the things that matter. You there? So if anybody has a question, you can throw it and I'm here to answer.
We are here. Answered their personal statement question?
Yeah, so I think we lost you for a few minutes, and I can just briefly explain what personal statement is all about. It's basically about. So there are two things, by the way. There's this purpose of study objective statement as well, and there's personal statement as well. So personal statement is more about you, your goals, your background, what you want to do, etc. But study objectives is a bit more about academic goals, professional goals, and how you would apply what you've learned. And overall, it's about why you should, why Fulbright for you? Why should you be given Fulbright? What are your short-term goals? Why do you need Fulbright to fulfill your goals? You know, what do you want to do once you're back home in Pakistan? How will you apply what you've learned? So basically that, yeah.
Okay. The next question is, this was for all the personal statements. Okay,
And
one more
also,
thing.
please, I'm sorry, I'm cutting you. I'm
Yeah, no
sorry.
problem. You
Yeah,
are
adding on to what I
yes,
said.
sir.
Adding to what I've already said, one of the things that is very important is if there is something questionable in your profile. For example, I had some gap year for some reason, but I had a very solid justification for that. And I made sure that it's there in my personal statement. So yeah, keep that in mind. So personal statement is kind of like an opportunity for you to justify your case, or to talk about why you are a good candidate for the scholarship.
One more important question, Rida. Can I guess this question is not related. In most of the US universities, a student can directly apply from bachelor's to PhD program.
Yep.
But in masters, how does it work? I am a bachelor's student, let's suppose, and can I directly apply to the PhD program for Fulbright?
All right. So I'll give you an example from my own university. So NYU has master's program as well as PhD programs. But if you're applying, you have to be very clear about what Fulbright degree program are you availing? Are you applying for Fulbright Masters or are you applying for Fulbright PhD? If you're applying for Fulbright Masters, then you can only apply for master's program in that particular university. For example, I applied for Masters in Consumer and Social Psychology from NYU on Fulbright Master's program, right? But if I want to do, say, PhD in some subject, then I have to have a master's degree on me already for me to be able to apply for Fulbright's PhD program. Does that answer your question?
Yeah. So it is compulsory to first go to your first apply for the masters, and later you can apply for the PhD program. Okay, so a student having a previous travel to United States, can he or she apply to this scholarship?
Definitely. Yes, definitely. So by the way, I'm a Global UGRA alumna, and I've also been to US on business accelerators, and I've been to US a lot of times. And some people would say, oh, it's no use applying to Fulbright Masters because they will just not give it to you because you've been there before. And I didn't agree with it because I thought, well, if a student deserves, if he or she has a good profile, if he or she has a good statement of purpose, a good GRE score, a good CGPA, has leadership skills as well, and is somebody that Fulbright would like to invest in for their master's program, then why not? So yeah, but if you're a resident or a citizen of US, then it's not the case. But if you're a Pakistani citizen and Pakistani resident, then yes, even if you've been to US before, you can still get Fulbright.
Until and unless you have not traveled on J1 visa, if I'm not wrong.
No. Even that is a misconception because I went on Global UGRA scholarship on J1, right? But the thing is, when I went in 2014, spring 2014, and then I fulfilled my 2 years residency requirement in Pakistan. After that, I applied for Fulbright Master's program, and I did get it. So these are all just misconceptions. You can get it.
Okay, we have a very good question. If someone has a disability, he or she can apply for this scholarship, and is it safe for them to go?
Answering the first part of the question, can they apply? Yes, they can. There are FAQs on the USCFP's Master's and PhD program web section. You can look into those FAQs and they'll answer some part of your questions. As for can he or she apply for the scholarship and is it safe for them to go? This is a question that they can answer the best because we all know. For example, some women have this question: "Oh, is it safe for women?" Um, it depends. Are you street
It
smart
depends.
enough? Yeah, are you? I'll give you a personal example. Before going on Global U Grad, I don't think I was a street smart person. I was very smart as a student, but I didn't have any, like, I wasn't very street smart. But when I went there, I quickly learned things and I was confident enough to and I was adaptive as well. I learned quickly and that helped, and I was confident enough that helped as well. So I didn't feel unsafe and I didn't have any bad experience. But it depends. And unsafe can be anywhere. You can be sometimes unsafe in your own home as well. We never know.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
that could be anywhere. That doesn't have to do anything. That doesn't have anything to do with. But yes, you're going like a million miles away from your home country. So I this time I was placed in New York City, and New York City, for example, is a totally different ballgame. It's you travel on train. I wasn't used to that, and I had to. It was tough in the beginning, and actually my husband stayed with me for I think a month and a half, and that had some negative effect on his business. But he wanted to make sure that I'm safe, so I can understand those concerns. But eventually, I learned how to go about it, and that helped. So if you have a supportive family, supportive spouse or supportive parents, and if you have some emotional support backing you, then I think you should
Mm-hmm.
be fine. As for other circumstances, life can be unpredictable anywhere.
Okay, I think you have answered her question. So one more fact I want to add with this: Fulbright actually encourages women and people with disability to apply in this program. They are very much encouraged, and if you have, like, you can apply. So previously, according to USFP, there were in previous cohort in 2019, there were 50% applicants who were women. So the people who went on Fulbright were 50% of them were women. So they encourage women especially. Along with this, I want to add for one more thing, very important. So there are four Fulbright programs currently offered. The first one is Fulbright for masters. Then we have Fulbright for PhD, and then we have Fulbright for it's called FLT, Fulbright for Foreign Language Teaching Assistant Program. That one is for 9 months. That one is for university teachers, young care professionals who have entered into university. They are teaching English since like minimum 2 to 3 years minimum, and maximum it can be 5 to 10 years. They can apply for FLT program. The fourth one is Fulbright for Scholars Program. That one is for the postdoc. That is for 9 months. So right now the applications are currently open for masters and PhD. So a student want to apply in any one of this can apply. Okay. So now it's time for us to take more questions. So there's a person. He says, "Is it possible to talk something about personal statement? For example, like for depression, how it affect me, what I do after being recovered."
All right, Abdul Rahman Waleed Sayed asked this question, and that's that's an important thing to ask. Yes, like I said earlier, mm, if you have any missing gaps in your profile or anything which can be questionable or anything which makes the selection committee think, oh, why is there a gap here or there, or it makes them wonder what's going on, it would be a good idea if your statement of purpose or your application answers those questions already. I'll give you an example from my own personal experience. For some reason, I had a gap year. And before the selection committee had a question in their mind, oh, why does she's a good student, but why does she have a gap year? I made sure that I answered that, and I saw that as a gap in my application. And I thought, okay, I need to answer this question. I need to point this out and answer it and justify and give reasons um, and just talk about it honestly. So yeah, in your case, you're saying that it maybe it's depression or if something affected you and how you recovered. Yes, I would say definitely talk about it, but make sure that it's relevant to what you're talking about. So you're applying for Fulbright program, you're applying for a master's degree or BSc, whatever, and just make sure that whatever you're talking about is relevant to the overall bigger picture. And also, very importantly, let's say if you face some challenge, talk about that, but also talk about how you recovered. and what you learned out of that experience, and how you can actually maybe utilize that, how maybe that actually makes you a stronger, better person, and how you can utilize that to be a better professional or academic or better person overall.
Okay, so a person applying for Fulbright Masters, is there any experience required, a professional experience required for applying in Masters program, Rida?
You can apply right after your undergrad as well, and you can be selected as well. So it's not necessary. It's not a requirement that you necessarily have to have work experience, but it helps. It definitely helps if you have had some work experience or some practical life experience along with your degree, or maybe after that. So that can obviously make your profile even better.
Yeah, so 2 year experience is required for only those students applying for
And
MBA. So
yes.
if you want to apply for, you have a background of business administration, you have to take like 2 years experience, and then you have to apply for it. Okay, one more important question. We are out of time, although our session was 30 minutes. It's like 45 minutes right now. So a student having oh, sorry, I just missed that question. Okay, let's go to another question. Entrepreneurship.
Do those applying
A
for
student.
entrepreneurship get an edge over candidates because innovation is the next big thing? Hmm. All right. Thank you for your question, Sarah Samir. Uh, I would say that it could be anything which has a social impact is something which can be of value for Pakistan. And once you come back to Pakistan as a Fulbright scholar, you can maybe add to you can do maybe you can do something socially impactful, and anything that can help you along that way. It does not necessarily have to be just entrepreneurship or just engineering or just psychology or just, I don't know, pure medicine. It could be anything, long as it's socially impactful, it's meaningful, and it's adding to and it's adding some value over here. I think that would definitely be something that somebody should consider.
Okay, I guess that was Rida. Do you want to like take any of the questions, or we should end our session?
We can take last two questions.
Okay, yeah, this one. Gohar Zaman is asking, is it possible to go US for PhD without GRE score? Any other scholarship other than GRE, Fulbright, sorry.
Okay. Mm, there are lots of universities offering scholarships. PhD is mostly a fully funded program. But Fulbright scholarship is an amazing opportunity. They cover beyond your just beyond. They cover even beyond academic expenses. So I would highly recommend Fulbright scholarship, but it depends. If you want to go directly for a university-based PhD program, then go for it. For most US universities, GRE score is mandatory. It's compulsory. But if there, but if, I'm not aware of any program that does not require GRE score and is offered by an American university. As far as I
Yeah.
know, PhD programs in US do require GRE scores.
Yeah, obviously, like how they recognize a good student. This isn't like minimum criteria. Like you give your exam to enter a university. So the same criteria is for US universities. You have to give GRE, no matter you are going on your own or you want to go on a Fulbright scholarship. Okay, so we have another question. Is there a very important question? Is there any age requirement in Fulbright master's
Uh, okay, there's I remember there is age requirement for global UGrad scholarship program. As
degree?
for masters, I think there's no age requirement, but maybe Hima, you can tell us better. As far as I
Uh,
know, there was no age requirement for master's program, but for global UGrad scholarship program, there's a age criteria.
No, there is a age criteria for
Okay,
Fulbright. A student applying for master's should be under 35 years old.
okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
I've forgotten that part, but I remember the global U
Oh,
grad
no
criteria.
worries.
Yeah.
So this one is our last question.
Okay,
Kindly
sure.
tell me, Zen Mahmood is saying, kindly tell me about life sciences like microbiology. Is it easy to get a scholarship for MPhil or PhD? Which one is easy and also does it require job experience? Did you get that question? Yeah.
Which one is this and also does it require job experience? Zan, that really depends on what university, what program you're applying for. Also, I would suggest don't think on those lines, oh, it's easy or not easy, and then I should go for it. Be very clear about your career objectives. I don't think something being easy or not easy should be the reason why you want to apply for that program. And if that is the reason you're applying for it, you might not continue it once you're actually in the program. So think beyond easy or difficulty levels, and just see what you're passionate about, what your strengths are, and what your short-term and long-term goals are. Um, as for as for the second half of your question, it really depends on even the job requirement. It depends on what program you're applying for, or what university you're applying to.
Okay, so I want to answer, like, this is the last question's answer. I want to like tell that if you want to apply for Fulbright masters and you have a background of business administration, you need 2 years experience, right? And let's suppose you have applied for MBA, you have gained your 2 years experience, job experience, and you have applied for Fulbright. After you are selected in Fulbright, if a university, if the selected university asks you to give GMAT, you have to be ready to give GMAT.
Yeah.
Yeah. And if you are a student of mathematics or physics, especially, and you have applied in Fulbright, if a university asks you, then GRE is a minimum criteria. No IELTS is required at this stage. After selection, they ask for your English testing certificate, which is TOEFL, and whose fees is being paid by you. So you have to take that TOEFL on your own after the selection. This is not the criteria right now. No English requirement is required right now. You have to just take GRE. And most of the people were asking, what is GRE? What subject do we have? There are two parts, English and maths in GRE. Although, like, these are the two subjects, and the GRE exam is divided into three parts: verbal, quantitative, analytical, and each one have different scores. You can visit the USEFP website. I have shared that on the comments, as well as this. Once the Fulbright application would be closed, there is one more important thing. There is a advising service which is offered by USEFT. There are no consultants, there are consultants for United States, which is USEFT. You have to go on their website. There is a education advising. Once you go on the website, you would see education advising. You have to just put your name, put your university name, or if you are enrolled or not. They would help you one to one. Let's suppose I'm not selected this year for Fulbright. So by the end of October, they will let you know the results of Fulbright. Right now, Rida, what is the deadline for the Fulbright?
This year, I don't know about this year. I'm sorry.
Okay, so although
Normally May 16, May 11,
May
something
16, but
around
due
it.
to COVID-19, it has been extended till
Mhm.
15th June. So this is
15th
a wonderful
June, okay.
opportunity.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
so
an
this is a wonderful opportunity for students. They can prepare for their GRE, and after the Fulbright applications are closed, and still a student by the end of October, the results would be coming up for the Fulbright. If you are not selected and you still can afford to go to United States, you want help in your personal statements or stuff like that, USFP provide you an advising session through emails. They guide you one to one. You can always ask to them. You just have to go on their website, you have to sign up, and that's it. So this is the end of our session. And before going, so many students are asking about global UGRAD. Rida, the last question, please, and then we will be finished.
Sure, you can ask the last question. Yeah, what's the question? Like what
What's
specifically?
global UGRAD and how one can apply in global UGRAD? And some people didn't got the UGRAD letter that they have been selected. Due to this pandemic, everything is being paused right now.
Yeah.
So this
So
was the answer to one of the students and how we can apply for global UGRAD program. Yes, over to you.
all right. Fortunately, thankfully, USCFP has made the application process very simple and very smooth. You can log on to their website and look at the programs that scholarship programs that they're offering. One of which is Global UGrad. You can then click on it and look at their FAQs that should answer some of the questions that you have, the eligibility criteria, how long, what's the program all about, how long is it for, etc., etc. And then when the applications are open, you can apply for it online. I'll just quickly tell you some of the important things for application. Those are your personal statement, it matters a lot. I think if you have had some sort of leadership and community service experience, definitely mention that. That should help as well. And basically, your short-term goals and long-term goals and letters of recommendation would, if they're good, that would also help. Um, and I would highly recommend both Fulbright Masters, Global UGAD Scholarship. Everything that USCFP is doing is just great. So yeah, and don't be disappointed if you haven't heard back from them as yet. Maybe it's because everything is just so slow because of the pandemic. So just be a little bit patient. And even if you hear a no from them, it's okay. Apply next year.
Next
If you
year.
still hear a no, maybe apply for masters. And in the meantime, work on your profile. Just see what is it in your profile that can be improved further. And if you have questions, Hima is a global UGRAD alumni herself. She
Yeah.
can
So
guide you.
I would like
Yes.
to answer this question, Global UGRAD program. So Global UGRAD program is for undergraduate students. It is one of the Fulbright program for and especially designed for undergrad student studying in public universities, private university, any university, reputed, non-reputed, any. So you can apply. So the minimum criteria is you have to be in your फोर्थ सेमेस्टर यानी सेकेंड ईयर में हो बच्चा सेकेंड ईयर से लेके थर्ड ईयर तक के स्टूडेंट अप्लाई कर सकते हैं ग्लोबल यूग्रेड के प्रोग्राम में मतलब कि फोर्थ सेमेस्टर से लेके सिक्स सेमेस्टर तक के बच्चे अप्लाई कर सकते हैं ग्लोबल यूग्रेड में if you have a 5-year degree program जैसे MBBS or architecture these programs are like for 5 years तो उसके फोर्थ ईयर के स्टूडेंट्स भी अप्लाई कर सकते हैं कोई बात नहीं अगर सिलेक्शन नहीं हुई इस साल की सिलेक्शन हो चुकी है और जिन स्टूडेंट्स को आंसर नहीं द सिलेक्टेड पार्टिसिपेंट्स आर ऑलरेडी बीइंग आर नोटिफाइड तो जो जिनको अभी तक नोटिफिकेशन नहीं आई सिलेक्शन या रिजेक्शन की उसको कंसीडर ही करें कि आप रिजेक्ट हो चुके दैट्स ऑल द अपडेट फॉर द ग्लोबल यूग्रेड ये हर साल आती है अगर किसी की सिलेक्शन हुई तो कुछ कोई बात नहीं यू कैन अगेन अप्लाई इन योर लास्ट ईयर ऑफ योर बैचलर्स यानी कि फोर्थ ईयर में भी अप्लाई कर सकते हैं देयर इज अनदर प्रोग्राम इट्स कॉल्ड सूसी रिदा सूसी के बारे में अगर आप फुल फॉर्म बता दें इसकी तो
SUSI, Global UGA would be for a semester or 2 semesters at max, but SUSI is for the summer program, right? It's in the summers. Or जैसे अभी Hima has already said earlier, okay, don't worry if you didn't make it this time. Maybe I would say you would still have learned a lot from even the application process itself. And then you would yourself know, oh, this is one area that can be better. I can improve this area, and when I'm applying next time, I'll have a higher chance of making it, inshallah. And if you still don't get it, still don't worry. We have Susi, and we have maybe you can apply for Fulbright Masters. And when you apply for Fulbright Masters, make sure that you've worked on the weak spots.
Okay, that was all from our side. Thank you, everyone. I am seeing many viewers from all over the world. Say goodbye to them, and I would like to thank Scholarship Scholarships Corner for giving us opportunity. Yeah.
I
Rida.
would like to say goodbye to everybody who's watching us. Thank you for having me over, Hima, and thank you, Scholarships Corner, for having me over and for this lovely conversation. And this is definitely one of the very important topics that we need to cover more and more so that more and more people are more aware of what Fulbright program is actually about, and so that we can help clarify some of the misconceptions that so many people have about this program. Thank
And
you.
in last, I would like to I would like to praise you, Rida. You are doing wonderful job. You are painting, and you are selling it for effects of COVID-19. I would really appreciate this effort, community work from your side. This was the end from our side.
Thank you.
Take care, everyone. Shabba khair. Bye bye. Have a good Ramadan.
Bye bye.
Bye.